Have you ever wondered why some of your deepest desires seem to drift further away the moment you speak them out loud? There's something powerful about silence, something Carl Jung explored deeply through his understanding of the unconscious mind. And what you're about to discover may gently shift the way you think about manifestation altogether. Take a moment to reflect. How many times have you set a goal, spoken about it openly, repeated affirmations, visualized the outcome clearly, and still felt like nothing truly changed? You followed all the common advice. You wrote your intentions down, shared your plans with others, stayed positive, and tried to believe completely. Yet somehow, the results still felt distant. If this sounds familiar, you're certainly not alone. And it doesn't mean you failed or done anything wrong. It may simply mean there's a deeper layer of manifestation that most people are never taught. Before we continue, feel free to like the video and share where you're watching from today. It's always interesting to see people joining from different parts of the world. And if you enjoy this kind of content, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you can stay connected with future videos. One of the most overlooked ideas about manifestation, and something Carl Jung explored throughout his work on human consciousness, is that true transformation doesn't begin with words alone. It's not only about affirmations, vision boards, or constantly repeating intentions. The deeper power often exists beneath the surface, within the unconscious patterns, emotions, and beliefs quietly shaping your inner world every day. The real power may live in something much quieter, more subtle, and deeply rooted within you. According to Jung's perspective, the unconscious mind, the vast inner world beneath everyday awareness, responds less to what we repeatedly say we want, and more to the state of being we carry internally. Stay with me, because this is where the understanding of manifestation begins to shift in a meaningful way. Sometimes, when we speak our desires out loud before they feel fully grounded within us, we unintentionally weaken our connection to them. We expose them to doubt, outside opinions, and the expectations of others who may not fully understand our vision. Without realizing it, we can move from simply living our dream internally to feeling the need to explain or prove it externally. And often, the moment we begin seeking validation for what we desire, we drift slightly away from the calm inner state where real transformation tends to happen most naturally. Carl Jung believed that the psyche communicates through symbols, archetypes, emotions, and the quiet language of the unconscious mind. From this perspective, life doesn't respond only to our words or conscious thoughts, but also to the deeper emotional patterns and inner energy we carry consistently. In many ways, we don't simply attract what we say we want. We move toward experiences that reflect who we are becoming internally. And when there's a disconnect between our words and our deeper beliefs, those inner patterns often shape the outcome more strongly. So what if manifestation wasn't about forcing, chasing, or constantly trying to make something happen? What if there were a gentler way, one rooted in inner alignment, self-awareness, and quiet transformation? What you're about to explore touches on Jung's ideas about the hidden structure of the psyche and how our internal world influences the reality we experience. And it begins with a simple but powerful insight about how manifestation may actually work. Imagine standing in front of an old-fashioned radio with a dial used to tune into different stations. Now imagine placing a label on the radio that says classical music. You could repeat it over and over, visualize beautiful symphonies, and genuinely want to hear Mozart. But if the dial is still tuned to a heavy metal station, what will you hear? The station you're tuned into, not the one you wish for. This metaphor reflects why manifestation can sometimes feel confusing or frustrating for many people. It's often less about repeating the right words and more about gently shifting the deeper inner patterns, emotions, and beliefs that shape the frequency we live from each day. And perhaps this is where manifestation is often misunderstood. It may not be about repeating the perfect affirmation or creating the perfect vision board. Those tools can still be meaningful and supportive, but they are only part of the picture. What truly shapes your experience is the deeper emotional and psychological state you return to each day. In many ways, life reflects the energy you consistently carry, not just the words you say during moments of motivation, but the quieter inner patterns beneath the surface. It's the version of you that exists in ordinary moments. When you're driving home, doing routine tasks, sitting alone with your thoughts, or moving through the unnoticed parts of daily life. Those moments often reveal the emotional frequency you're truly living from. Your inner world is always communicating something, and reality tends to mirror that back over time. This is where deeper transformation begins, not only in the excitement of setting a goal, but in the small, consistent moments that shape your everyday state of being. Jung believed that the unconscious mind responds less to conscious wishes and more to deeply held beliefs, emotional patterns, and identity. In other words, the unconscious doesn't simply respond to what you want, it responds to what feels true within you. If you enjoy exploring ideas around consciousness, manifestation, and inner transformation, consider subscribing to the channel. There's much more to uncover together. Now, there's another important layer to this conversation that many people overlook. Sometimes what feels like a manifestation issue may actually be a lack of inner clarity. Most people are holding many desires at once. One moment the focus is financial freedom, then love, then career success, then peace of mind, then health and personal growth. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting a fuller, happier life in different areas. But when your attention becomes scattered in too many directions at once, your energy can begin to feel divided as well. The subconscious mind responds more clearly when there is emotional focus and inner coherence. If too many competing desires are pulling at your attention simultaneously, it can create confusion, uncertainty, and a feeling of being emotionally disconnected from all of them. The deeper journey often begins with one simple but honest question. If everything in your life remained exactly as it is right now, but one meaningful thing could truly change, what would matter most to you? What would bring you the deepest sense of peace right now? Not necessarily the most exciting outcome, or the one that sounds impressive to others, but the desire that makes your whole body feel calmer and more grounded when you think about it. The one that feels natural, honest, and deeply aligned with who you truly are. That may be the desire worth paying attention to. If this message is resonating with you so far, feel free to write, "I choose clarity" in the comments below. Once you become clear on that deeper desire, the one that brings a sense of inner steadiness, something interesting often happens next. You may feel a strong urge to talk about it immediately, to share it with others, or to seek reassurance that it's possible. But sometimes, the healthiest thing you can do in the beginning is to hold that vision gently and privately for a while. Not out of fear or secrecy, but because some things need quiet space to grow before they are fully ready to be exposed to outside opinions and expectations. Think about planting a seed in the soil. You don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You protect it, water it, and allow it to develop roots quietly beneath the surface. In many ways, personal transformation works the same way. When we share a vision too early, especially with people who may not fully understand it, their doubts, fears, or limitations can unintentionally affect our confidence. They may ask questions like, "Are you sure that's realistic?" Or, "How will you make that happen?" And slowly, without noticing it, your energy can shift from quietly embodying the vision to feeling the need to explain or defend it. The moment we begin trying to prove our path to others, we can lose touch with the calm inner state that first inspired it. Jung often explored how the unconscious mind needs space, reflection, and emotional depth in order for transformation to take root. During the early stages of change, your inner vision may need a certain level of protection from outside noise, so it can become emotionally grounded within you first. So for now, It may be enough to simply hold that desire quietly, nurture it internally, and allow it to strengthen in your own awareness before sharing it with the world. And this is where things begin to shift in a more meaningful way, where ideas move beyond wishful thinking and begin turning into lived experience through the way you think, feel, and show up each day. You begin by gently stepping into the state of the version of yourself that already feels aligned with this desire, not by imagining it as something far away or separate from you, but by allowing yourself to experience, even briefly, what it might feel like to already live from that place internally. This isn't only a mental exercise, it's also an emotional and physical shift in awareness. If you can, close your eyes for a moment and take a slow breath, not a rushed or searching breath, but the kind of breath you might naturally take when you feel safe, settled, and quietly certain. Notice what changes in your body when you do that. Maybe your shoulders relax slightly. Maybe your jaw softens. Maybe your nervous system becomes just a little calmer. These small shifts matter more than people realize. Jung often spoke about the connection between the mind, the body, and the unconscious. Transformation, from this perspective, doesn't happen only through thought. It also happens through repeated emotional states, physical patterns, and the deeper sense of identity carried within the body itself. The version of you who already feels aligned with this desire likely moves through life with a little more trust and steadiness. They aren't constantly searching for proof or checking for signs every few minutes. They simply move through the world with a quieter sense of inner certainty. And that's the state you're slowly learning to connect with. Allow your body to guide you gently into that feeling, because sometimes the body understands safety, peace, and alignment before the conscious mind fully does. If this message resonates with you, you can type, "I am becoming" in the comments below. Now, here's an important distinction that many people overlook. A lot of people assume that stepping into alignment should feel dramatic, euphoric, or overwhelmingly emotional. They expect manifestation to feel intense or extraordinary all the time. But often, real alignment feels much simpler and quieter than that. It feels natural. It feels familiar, grounded, and emotionally steady, like settling into a comfortable version of yourself, rather than forcing yourself into a completely different identity. When you begin embodying the feeling of your desire being fulfilled, you're not pretending or performing. You're slowly allowing that state to feel more normal, more believable, and more emotionally real within your everyday life. You're not forcing yourself to feel excited or pretending to believe something you don't. You're simply allowing yourself to rest in the quiet certainty of already having it within you. It's like the difference between a child waiting for Christmas morning, anxiously checking under the tree every few minutes, and a child the day after Christmas calmly enjoying the gift they already received. One is still searching, while the other simply knows. Your subconscious mind doesn't respond most strongly to wishing, hoping, or constantly wanting. It responds to what feels emotionally real and accepted within you. And true acceptance rarely feels dramatic. More often, it feels calm, natural, and peaceful, like a quiet inner knowing that settles gently into your being. Jung believed the unconscious mind responds to emotional truth more than mental effort. When you begin living from the feeling of already being aligned with your desire, something subtle starts to change inside you. You move away from chasing, forcing, and constantly trying to make things happen, and you begin operating from a deeper sense of wholeness and trust. That inner shift changes the way you move through life. Your energy becomes steadier. Your actions become more aligned. And over time, your outer reality begins reflecting that internal state more naturally. What's fascinating is that the subconscious mind doesn't respond well to desperation, pressure, or constant checking for results. It responds to your state of being, the quiet message you carry within yourself every day. When your inner world softly says, "This is already becoming part of who I am," reality begins to reorganize around that belief in ways you may not immediately notice. This is where manifestation stops feeling like struggle and starts becoming a process of alignment. You're no longer chasing something outside yourself. You're learning to embody the version of you who already feels connected to it. If this resonates with you, leave a comment saying, "I accept this." And once you begin feeling that shift within yourself, there's one more important thing to understand, because this is often the point where people unintentionally interrupt their own progress without even realizing it. Many people experience a moment where they finally feel aligned with their desire, calmer, more certain, more connected, but then immediately begin searching for proof that it's working. They check their phone, their bank account, or look for signs in the external world, hopping for confirmation. And while that reaction is completely natural, it often pulls them back into the emotional state of waiting, seeking, or doubting. In a deeper psychological sense, constantly checking can quietly reinforce the feeling that what you want is still missing. It shifts your attention away from the inner state you were beginning to embody. Jung's work on the psyche suggests that transformation happens less through force or constant repetition, and more through consistent inner identification. In other words, it's not only about imagining a new reality for a few moments. It's about gradually becoming emotionally familiar with it. You begin to live there internally, not with pressure or intense effort, but with a quieter kind of certainty that feels natural and grounded. Think about something in your life that already feels completely normal to you, your morning routine, your favorite chair, or the comfort of sleeping in your own bed. You don't spend time trying to convince yourself those things exist. You simply experience them as part of your reality. That's the emotional state many manifestation teachings point toward, not obsession, but familiarity. The version of you who already feels aligned with your desire isn't constantly searching for reassurance. They're simply living their life from a calmer and more settled inner state. And this is where your relationship with manifestation begins to change. It becomes less about chasing outcomes and more about embodying the qualities, emotions, and identity connected to what you want to experience. Over time, that new inner state starts feeling more natural, more stable, and more believable to your subconscious mind. Jung explored the idea that the unconscious responds strongly to what we repeatedly identify with emotionally. It's not necessarily about how many techniques you use or how intensely you visualize. It's about how deeply you begin to accept and inhabit a new way of being. The moment you shift from emotionally wanting something to genuinely feeling aligned with it internally, something subtle begins to change in the way you think, feel, and respond to life. And often, those inner shifts slowly influence the reality you create around you. Now, the practice becomes much simpler, though not always easy. Gently remain connected to that inner state. Move through your daily life with the feeling of already being aligned with what you desire, even if the external world hasn't fully reflected it yet. Over time, your outer experiences often begin to shift in response to the inner changes taking place within you, not through force, worry, or constant monitoring, but through consistency in the way you think, feel, and relate to yourself. If this message resonates with you, you can comment, "I stay in the state," as a reminder to stay connected to that calmer and more grounded version of yourself, regardless of temporary external circumstances. In many ways, this is the deeper journey Jung pointed toward, not endlessly trying to become someone else, but learning to reconnect with a more whole and authentic version of yourself at the level of consciousness and identity. And if you've stayed with me through this entire conversation, if something within you felt understood or shifted even slightly, trust that there may be a reason these ideas found you at this moment in your life. I create content like this because I believe thoughtful conversations around consciousness, inner transformation, and self-awareness can genuinely help people see themselves and their lives differently. And if this resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe and continue exploring these ideas with me. This space is about going beyond surface-level motivation and looking more deeply at the patterns, beliefs, and inner states that create lasting change. If you're still here, leave a comment saying, "This message was meant for me." I always appreciate seeing who connects with these conversations and who's walking this path alongside us. And if this video brought you value, feel free to like it so more people can discover these ideas when they need them most. Before you go, there's another video waiting for you that explores how to apply these concepts in a more practical and grounded way. Continue watching with me there, because this is only the beginning of understanding how powerful your inner world can truly be. I'll see you in the next video.